It's pretty wild to think about. XRP has skyrocketed over 1,000% this market cycle, from the lows to the highs, and yet there are still folks out there complaining. But hey, here's the kicker. For all the skeptics, XRP's journey isn't over. If history has any say, and if the seasoned chart analysts with stellar track records are right, this cycle isn't done. In fact, the most exciting parabolic phase might still be ahead. And when it comes, we're not just talking about small gains. Think massive, jaw-dropping moves. There's strong historical precedent to suggest that's exactly what's coming. There are countless reasons to believe in what's next, and I'll be diving into them. I'll also share insights from multiple XRP chart analysts, people who've nailed predictions so far this cycle. They called the XRP breakout, and now they're calling for even bigger moves. Many agree double-digit XRP isn't just a pipe dream, it's a matter of when, not if. Even if it takes a month or two, which some might consider a long wait, in the grand scheme of things, that's actually a pretty short time. And the buzz around XRP entering price discovery is exciting, whether that means hitting $4 or $5 in the short term or climbing even higher after that. But before we dive deeper, let me make one thing crystal clear. I'm not a financial expert, and this is not financial advice. Seriously. Don't make buying or selling decisions based on my ramblings. I'm just a crypto enthusiast who loves making YouTube videos for fun. As of right now, it's 4:20 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, May 24th, 2025. Yep, it's a holiday weekend, so don't be surprised if trading volume seems a little lighter than usual. We might not see many fireworks in the coming days, but let's not forget, what happens in the United States matters. It's not just any country, it's home to the largest capital market in the world. That means whatever shakes the US inevitably sends ripples through global crypto markets, influencing investments everywhere. Right now, XRP is sitting at $2.34, while Bitcoin holds at $108,909.00. Not much movement over the last 24 hours, mostly sideways action. But here's the thing. Posts like this highlight something fascinating. Some people just can't seem to zoom out and grasp the bigger picture. Enter not charting guy. Finally, someone making sense. Check out what he wrote recently. From April 7 lows where the market bottomed, most alts have outperformed Bitcoin significantly. Investing isn't about new highs, it's about return on investment and timing your entries. All right, let me throw in a little disclaimer here. While I absolutely get where he's coming from, and I do agree with the overall idea, there's a small nuance worth mentioning. For someone like me who's all about long-term holding, timing isn't the focus. It's really about consistency, dollar cost averaging, buying regularly no matter the price, and building broad exposure over time. But hey, that's just me being a bit nitpicky. Do, however, appreciate how he's spotlighting these insights. From that point in time, Bitcoin is up 50%. Remember when it was the end of the world? Spoiler, it wasn't. And Ethereum, well, Ethereum's up a massive 92%. Not shocking, considering it had been scraping the bottom of the barrel. Honestly, it's similar to what went down with XRP last year. Back then, XRP hit historic lows against Bitcoin and really the entire crypto market. I pointed out that in similar situations, XRP tended to shine, and sure enough, it did. Recently, we saw a comparable setup with Ethereum. While XRP had been consolidating for nearly a decade, Ethereum's timeline was shorter, but the principle remained the same. I said, guys, it's gonna pop. Markets find bottoms, it's what they do. There was no logical reason to believe this was the moment everything would crash and burn. So here we are, Ethereum is up 92% and XRP 52% since then. For now, XRP is just barely outperforming Bitcoin in that short time frame. And hey, there are plenty of other coins in the mix too. Take a look, the data speaks for itself. Take Pepe, for example. It's up 172%, but that's within a specific time frame. Zoom out further though, and XRP still holds the title of top performing coin among the top 100 by market cap since the early days following the election. It all comes down to how you slice the data. So let's shift the lens and explore another time frame. This got me thinking, why? Because of a post I stumbled upon. Nothing against the person who wrote it. I don't know them, but it's the kind of take you'd expect from someone who doesn't yet appreciate the value of zooming out and seeing the bigger picture. So you're focusing on a short time frame and nitpicking. It's been about a month and a half, and here comes the complaints. Someone named Zio Wolf chimed in saying, that's fine if you've got money to play the ranges, but for those of us chasing life-changing wealth, 52% isn't enough. Ah, yes. And he's talking about XRP is only up 52% from its lows. Only, really? That's a lot. But then charting guy fired back. It's up over 700% from cycle lows. Let's put this into perspective. XRP hit rock bottom at 28 cents in June 2022, just over a year ago. 28 cents. Keep that in mind. At today's price, XRP is sitting around $2.34. Right before I hit record, it was $2.35. So not much difference. Let's take a moment to appreciate this. XRP has climbed from just 28 cents to $2.35, an incredible 739% increase. That's a huge leap. If you miss out on those lower prices, no big deal. Maybe you're new to crypto or you just didn't know about it back then. That's completely fine, but why not look ahead with optimism? The crypto market is still tiny compared to other asset classes. Right now, the entire crypto market is valued at $3.380 billion, 0 cents. For perspective, the US stock market alone is about $60 trillion, 0 cents. Do you know how much gold is worth? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. I didn't pull up the exact number for this, but it's around, I don't know, maybe 20 to $22 trillion. Now, let's talk about global stocks. That's somewhere in the ballpark of $120 to $130 trillion. You can Google it for the exact figure. And then there's crypto sitting at just 3.38 trillion. Just pause for a second and zoom out. Can you see the bigger picture? Wealth isn't built overnight. It's about playing the long game. For me, it's been a journey, 7.5 years of patience, but now my crypto portfolio is worth so much more than what I originally invested. It's been nothing short of life-changing. Sure, I'm thinking about cashing out and locking in those gains, but even just seeing the numbers on paper, it's mind-blowing. I'm not going to dive too deep into the personal side of things, but here's what you need to understand. Let's talk about XRP. From the bottom of the cycle at 28 cents to its peak at $3.40, it saw an insane 1,114% increase. Hearing numbers like that, you'd think, wow, I really picked a winner. But even then, some people don't fully grasp just how massive that is. And guess what? XRP's story isn't over yet. Take a look at the last cycle. It pulled off a 20x price jump going from 10 cents to $2, 0 cents. That's while the SEC was breathing down its neck. Let that sink in. Even under attack, XRP skyrocketed. Now imagine this cycle. A 20x increase would already put it at $5.60, which honestly feels like a super conservative estimate. In my opinion, XRP could have seen an even bigger multiplier last cycle if the SEC hadn't stepped in, but hey, they did what they did. The question now is, where does XRP go from here? Remember all those analysts predicting massive double-digit price surges during the last cycle? There was a real chance it could have happened. Imagine this, from 10 cents to $10, a mind-blowing 100x increase from bottom to top. Now, considering where we are today, it's clear the game isn't over yet. This cycle is far from finished. Do you honestly believe XRP, with its legal clarity now in place, is going to underperform compared to previous cycles? Against the dollar, it's already proven otherwise, but when you think about the sheer percentage growth potential, does this feel like the peak? Not even close. The door to life-changing wealth is still wide open this cycle for so many people, and it's glaringly obvious. That's why I want to emphasize this point, especially with global liquidity playing such a huge role right now. Here's an interesting take I came across today, an article highlighting something we discussed recently, featuring none other than Raoul Pal. The Daily Hodl's headline: Raoul Pal predicts $140,000, 0 cents plus for Bitcoin by July, says key metric flashing bullish signal. Intriguing, right? Now, if Bitcoin skyrockets that quickly, what happens to XRP? Consider this. XRP has a smaller market cap, meaning it takes significantly less money flowing in to double, triple, or even quadruple its value. Let that sink in. What could this mean for XRP holders? And more importantly, why is Raoul Pal so confident? Is his prediction realistic? Spoiler alert, it just might be. According to the Real Vision founder and macro expert, Bitcoin is poised for a major climb. In a recent video shared with his 236,000 YouTube subscribers, he explains how the global money supply, M2 metric, closely tracks Bitcoin's price movements. His analysis, M2, is flashing bullish, suggesting Bitcoin could surge 28% from its current price. All right, here's the deal. Investing in Bitcoin at this stage, if you're chasing life-changing wealth, doesn't really add up. Sure, if you're a hardcore believer with a 10-20 year outlook, go for it. Bitcoin will likely outperform the stock market in the long run. Cool, fine. But let's be honest, that's not what most people are after. Most are looking for those massive gains from one market cycle to the next, the kind that change your life. And for that, Bitcoin just isn't the play. Now, altcoins, that's a different story. That's where the real potential lies. If Bitcoin soars, imagine the tidal wave of money flooding into altcoins. That's where things get exciting. And here's the kicker. The guy making this point has spent his whole career in finance. So yeah, he knows a thing or two. He was once an executive at Goldman Sachs, but now he's the mastermind behind Global Macro Investor, a data-driven powerhouse. What's exciting is that he doesn't just show you the numbers. He breaks them down and makes sense of them. And trust me, this concept isn't hard to grasp. Just check out this quote from him and you'll see why I'm buzzing with excitement, especially for XRP. XRP, for all the skeptics out there, if he's right, and I believe he's got it spot on, XRP could seriously blow expectations out of the water. Here's the quote. At this point, Bitcoin's price is purely driven by liquidity. It gave us a 3-month warning for the exact correction to around $75,000 in April. Yet everyone was screaming about tariffs and doomsday scenarios. But I told you it was all in the data, and it's telling us again, Bitcoin will hit all-time highs. I said we'd see highs by May, and we're on track for over $140,000, 0 cents by July. Sound familiar? Some of you remember this. The data doesn't lie. Remember back in April when it felt like the world was falling apart, tariffs were wreaking havoc, markets were in chaos, and everyone was bracing for disaster. I think it was mid-April, I was having a conversation, maybe with Julian, his partner, that really stuck with me. Everything felt like it was on fire. People were panicking, morale was rock bottom, and the bear market talk was everywhere. Doom and gloom, right? But that's when I shared something different. I brought up the correlation between global M2 and Bitcoin, along with some bold predictions. The data showed that despite the panic, Bitcoin could hit a new all-time high by May. Bold, right? Nobody wanted to believe it. The sentiment was just awful. Saying something like that back then, you get shouted down. But I stuck with it, highlighted the data, and said, hey, this is worth paying attention to. Are you really surprised by this? When global liquidity rises, that money has to flow somewhere. And let's face it, the more cash people have, the more willing they are to take risks. Sure, macro headwinds are always a factor. I get it. We just experienced what you could call a black swan event. The tariff scare shook the markets, but it was short-lived, and we've already moved past it. Unless something totally out of left field happens again, this momentum isn't stopping. Just look at how it's aligned with trends from 2023. Do you honestly think it ends here? I don't buy it. And that's what's so thrilling for us XRP holders. If this plays out, XRP is primed to shine like never before. Paul predicts that Bitcoin's price will soon outpace the growth of global money supply before eventually reversing. As he puts it, I also know it will decouple later in the cycle, and it will decouple to the upside with Bitcoin outperforming global M2. That's how it works when the crowd comes in. The herd gets FOMO, they get greedy, and it actually starts outperforming. Then when the market flips, it eventually starts to underperform as fear kicks in. This next phase is the real parabolic move, and we're incredibly close to it. Based on current liquidity trends, if Bitcoin continues its long-standing habit of lagging behind and aligning closely with these patterns, we could see this shift within a month or two. Of course, it could happen sooner. If you zoom in on short-term trends, Bitcoin may seem uncorrelated, but step back and view the bigger picture over years, and the correlation becomes undeniable. If you've got even one good eye, you can see what's happening here. And honestly, if that's the case, then within the next month or two, we could see things peak at new heights, or maybe even go further. How can you not be thrilled to be part of this space right now? It's absolute madness, and we actually get to witness and seize this opportunity firsthand. Speaking of opportunities, Crypto Insight UK shared an interesting post worth watching. It's about the XRP/BTC pair range low sweep with bullish divergence forming. Watch closely here. This was flagged a while back, and we're keeping tabs on it. Other analysts have been digging into this pair recently too. For instance, Dark Defender pointed out the other day that the RSI on the XRP/BTC chart is starting to climb. That's something to pay attention to. Just look at how similar setups played out in the past. As you can see, the picture here is pretty clear. I'm feeling optimistic. It just doesn't make sense to be bearish right now. Excitement, absolutely, but patience is key. We don't get to decide the timing, but when the moment comes, we either have our stake in the market or we don't. For me, there's no question. I'm staying in. This could take off sooner rather than later. Analysts everywhere seem to agree. Take this post from X-Force Global, for example. XRP hitting $4.00 by midsummer. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. And for the record, they don't think $4.00 is the ceiling. He's hyping up the party, and it's all about XRP taking off. On multiple occasions, he's talked about XRP hitting double digits, a pretty standard expectation among chart analysts. Let's dive into another example. Chart analyst Crypto Tony recently shared an XRP/USD update. I remain long over $2.00, he said, adding, it will be good to see XRP at $5.00 this cycle. And honestly, I couldn't agree more, but here's the kicker. He doesn't think it'll stop at $5.00. In fact, in posts from the last couple of months, he's mentioned predictions of XRP peaking around $10.00. And who knows, that might turn out to be a conservative estimate. Either way, it looks like an exciting journey ahead. Meanwhile, Rakesh Ubeda from Cointelegraph has also weighed in. He believes there are some crucial factors to watch, and his insights are worth a closer look. It all comes down to where we're headed. Classic fork in the road moment. According to him, a clean break and close above $2.65 could finalize a bullish inverse head and shoulders pattern, setting a target of $3.70. That's the short-term play. But here's the kicker. Breaking that level would push us into price discovery mode, smashing new all-time highs this year. And let's be real, $2.65 isn't just a random number. Too many analysts have flagged it as critical for it to be ignored. If we break above, the sky might just be the limit. Think thin air and open skies. On the flip side, if the price dips below $2.00, we could see some downward action. But honestly, very few analysts I follow even consider that likely. If it does happen, it could signal bigger movements across the entire crypto market. So yeah, this is an exciting time. XRP has already soared over 1,100% this cycle from bottom to top, and we're not done yet. The best is still to come. Could we see XRP hit double digits this cycle? It's not impossible. And hey, those calling for a $20.00 to $30.00 range might just be onto something. Time will tell, and we'll discover it together. Just a friendly reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't base your buying or selling decisions on my thoughts. Seriously, that would be a really, really, really bad idea.